Hello and welcome to a new adventure, and I'm back today in sunny Scarborough. But today we've come to visit something rather special and something that I should have visited last time but forgot to do it. And we are here at the North Bay Railway. So I'm joined by Steve from the North Bay Railway. Give us a wave, Steve.
Hello, all right.
So we're going to be getting a tour around the railway. We're going to have a ride on it as well. And we're also going to do another behind the scenes in the engine shop here. Okay, so we're about to have a ride on Triton. But before we do, we're going to have a little footplate visit. As you can see, 1932 for this one. The North Bay Railway, a 20-inch gauge miniature railway, opened in 1931 and is just short of a mile in length. It departs daily from the Peasholm station, formerly Northstead Manor Gardens, and terminates at Scarborough Mills station, very close to the Sea Life Centre. The railway opened as part of a brand new park for Scarborough, or pleasure gardens as they were known back then, which includes the historic water chute, open-air theatre and a boating lake, all of which still operate to this day. It opened with a grand ceremony on the 23rd of May 1931, with just one locomotive called Neptune. The following year they added Triton due to the popularity of the line. The trains and carriages were again supplied by Hudswell Clark of Leeds, and in cooperation with Robert Hudson Limited and Slingsby and Armstrong, then finally joined by Robin Hood and Poseidon, formerly known as May Thompson, in 2006. Both were also built at Hudswell Clark to operate at Golden Acre Park in Leeds, and after changing ownership many times, including a short stint at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, they finally joined their sisters in Scarborough. This is the former beach station, which opened with the line, but eventually it was disused as it was too close to the Scarborough Mills station. It briefly reopened again when some remodelling work was carried out at Scarborough Mills station. So just uncoupling the carriages, and they're going to take the engine up to the turntable, turn it round, bring it back past the carriages and then join on again at the front end. The Scarborough Mills station has changed quite a bit throughout its history. Originally it was further down the hill towards the beach and included a turning circle after the station. This included a tunnel section under the hill. Later the tunnel was removed after the hill was dug back, and finally the turning circle was removed altogether in favour of a turntable that we have today. This was due to the building of a Yorkshire water plant just behind. So there you go, he's just uncoupled it from the carriages down to the turntable, spun it round. It's going to bring it up the side and then join it back on the front of the carriages at this side so it can take it all the way back down. So he's brought it past the carriages. He's now going to flip the points just down there and reverse it down this one to join onto the carriages at the front. Okay, it's time to return down to Peasholm Park station on the North Bay Railway. I'm now sat in the cab just behind. I can film better from here. The railway closed for a period of 5 years, from 1940 to 1945, due to World War II. The small tunnel on the line was used to store musical instruments for the Royal Naval School of Music. The railway was owned by Scarborough Council for most of its life, until it was purchased in 2007 by the North Bay Railway Company, who also operate all the other attractions within the park. Here you can see the former chairlift attraction from the former Mr. Marvel's amusement park. I explored this site in detail in a previous video. I'll link to that in the description below. We're almost back at Peasholm Station now, just skirting round the edge of the park and behind the open-air theatre.
Well, originally when the two Scarborough bridges were built, so we've got Neptune and Triton, they were fitted with a Dorman 2DS. It's about 25 horsepower. Then in 47 they were fitted with another two-cylinder Dorman, but this is the 2DL Mark III, so about 35 horsepower. So again, a little bit bigger. And then in 67, 68, the last time both engines were overhauled by Hudswell Clark at their works, they were fitted with a three-cylinder Perkins engine. Again, rated for about 40 horsepower. That lasted a good 30 years. The engine they've got now, though, is it's a Kubota V2003 turbo, sort of like the engine that you find in like a mini digger or a little tractor. It's 4 cylinders. It's about 45 horsepower. The only difference to this from the other 3 engines, this drives a hydraulic pump. So we've got the engine block in there, hydraulic pumps down here. This pumps fluid all the way through the boiler barrel until it gets to about here. Here there's a motor. This converts this fluid motion into chain drive down the front set of driving wheels. So from there, there's a connecting rod that connects all 3 sets of axles together. That transfers the rest of the driving wheels, the rest of the valve gear, all this waggly stuff. Purely for show and completeness, it's got nothing to do with us running the engine at all.
So let's have a look at the engine shed while we're here, and we'll have a closer look at some of the locos as well. So here we go, here's the engine shed. We've currently got Neptune just hanging around outside, chilling out in the sunshine. And then inside here we have Robin Hood. There you go. And at the back is Poseidon. This is my favourite colour. So currently Poseidon is having some work done in the shed. It's sat here, it's not running on the tracks at the minute. But some old signage there for the different trips that they do on the trains.
Our Halloween one. The Santa ones are there, the Flying Snowman and the Jingle Bell. All good fun.
So I know that sometimes a lot of you want to see this kind of thing behind the scenes. And I love to see this kind of thing. It may be covered in oil on the floor, but that's a true working shed. So let's have a quick explore around and have a look at some of the nitty-gritty details. As you would expect, lots of tools, lots of things for repairs. A nice crane up there to lift the engines out, I presume. Yeah, just as you would expect. I know when I went to the Pleasure Beach, they tidied theirs up for me. You don't need to do that. No airs and graces with me. But yeah, everything you would like to see in a engine shed, I suppose, just like a mechanic's garage. Okay, Steve, do you fancy telling us a bit about each engine?
Yeah, no worries. So this was originally called May Thompson. It was built in 1933 to run at Golden Acre Park in Leeds. But it's lived a bit of a nomadic life. It's been all over the place, really. It ended up here in 2006 without any nameplates on. So we've renamed it Poseidon, obviously to fit in with the Neptune and Triton theme there. So Poseidon's the Greek god of the sea, Neptune's the Roman god of the sea.
So as Steve just said, this was also at Golden Acre Park. So this is the one that was mentioned in the Pleasure Beach video when I went to do the Pleasure Beach Express. So this originally was from Golden Acre Park, again, Hudswell Clark. And then I believe it went to the Pleasure Beach, and then it hung around there for quite a while. And then it moved across to Cleethorpes, I believe, and now here at Scarborough. But like you said, it was called the May Thompson, but it wasn't named after the Thompson family that run the Pleasure Beach, because Golden Acre Park was also run by a Thompson family, and it was named after the owner's wife, May Thompson.
So this is Robin Hood. Robin Hood's the second of the 9 to be built in 1932. This was built as the first loco to run at Golden Acre Park. Delivered in 1932. The park itself shut in 1938, so they weren't there particularly long. Quite why it's called Robin Hood, we're not really sure, but we don't believe in renaming them unless we have to. So everything's on Robin Hood has been kept original. It's still in the original state it was. Originally it was in apple green, but we've done it red because it's nice to have engines in different colours. So this is Neptune. This is the oldest diesel hydraulic in the world. Built in 1931, it's really pioneering. There weren't any before that. and it's amazing to think that that's still running here 91 years later. She opened the railway on the 23rd of May 1931, pulled the first train at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and she's been doing exactly the same job that she was built to do ever since.
So this actually is the oldest diesel hydraulic loco in the world currently here at Scarborough North Bay Railway. So the ones at the Pleasure Beach, they were all built around the same time. So the first batch of locos built at the Hudswell Clark in Leeds were 20-inch gauge, which is the ones that were here, North Bay Railway. And I believe Golden Acre Park, they were 20-inch as well. Then after that, you had Butlins, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, all those kind of places who had 21-inch gauge. Okay, so the guys have very kindly said they're going to let me have a drive of Triton. They're going to let me take it down and reverse it back up here. Let's see how we get on. Natural. I've got a job. Easy peasy. I can drive it all the way around now. So I'm going to hand you over to Steve, who's going to tell you a little story about an accident on the line.
Neptune ran all by herself in 1931, pulled 418,000 passengers in the first season. So you can see the need for the second loco, so they ordered Triton for the following year. But obviously running two trains carries the risk of colliding, and that's exactly what they did. On the 11th of July 1932, Neptune and Triton hit each other head on, which unfortunately killed the driver of Triton. He's called Herbert Carr, and he was only 25 years old when he died. He's buried in the cemetery just up the road, actually. So obviously head-on crashes can't happen. They're not that good for business. So there's the systems in place now, which I think they're quite unique to this particular railway, actually, which stop it happening. So we have the same sort of system that a mainline railway has, whereby each train has to have a token to allow it to be in each section of track. So if you imagine you've got Peasholm, you've got Scarborough Mills, and you've got a passing loop in the middle. One train has a section for Peasholm, one train has a section for Scarborough. They meet in the middle and they swap. So these are the tokens. You've got Peasholm to Beach, and you've got Beach to Scarborough Mills. So that alone on the big trains is enough to make it safe. However, there were a few more head-on crashes here. Because we run that many trains, there was another one in 1948 and two more in the 60s. So the system got developed even further than that, and we've since developed it one step more as well. So if I turn the ignition on, there's magnetic sensors in this key assembly down here, and you see you've got a red key, a green key and a blue key. The red is when we're running one train, so we only have one train out. That's known as the long section staff. So that goes in there, that turns the system off, because obviously if you're running one train you can't collide into another train. When we're running two, we split the token and we release these two short section ones. So this one will go into this slot here. You see the light there? You turn it and it disengages that. At the passing loop there are two trip sensors. When the loco passes over it, it'll read if you've got a token in or not. If you haven't got a token in, it'll fire the brakes, which we've got full air pressure at the moment. So if I undo that with my steel toe cap boots, I'll put my boot under the sensor and you hear the brakes come on. That's fired the brakes, and that stops the train very quickly, and the only way to reset it is to turn the engine off and on again, so it's fail safe. We have to actually stop. At that point we will come and see what's happened. So that's what keeps us safe.
Well, how amazing was that? A lovely visit to the North Bay Railway. Tell you what, the guys here are absolutely fantastic. So willing to show me everything. and they know everything there is to know about this railway. Okay, so we've had a fantastic day here at North Bay Railway in Scarborough. If you fancy a trip on the railway, obviously come down, check it out, have a ride. The guys are fantastic here. And a big thank you to Steve and Phil at North Bay Railway for showing us around and taking us for a ride, and even letting me drive the train. But I'll see you next week in a new adventure. Bye for now.